Interesting that looking ahead for next year, we're using a quote from last year. Jensen Huang, in an interview with No Priors, shout out to No Priors, always interesting to listen to them. So Jensen, about a year ago, was interviewed, and he said, here's his quote: "If you're serious about software, you build your own computer." And I think this is the quote for next year, probably the coming years, but definitely for next year. I'm going to elaborate what that means. We're here at Orange Capital Partners are fully invested in Tesla and Nvidia, and the theme of both of these stocks is very congruent with what Jensen said. If you're serious about software, you build your own computer. Now, the definition of software is changing. The definition of computer is changing. The main idea is that you need to be able to iterate across the stack. Co-design, flexibility, adaptability, robustness, iteration, all of these things need to happen across the stack because all the definitions of software and computer are changing. Computer is a data center. Computer is networking. Computer is a car. Computer is a robot. Computer is training. Computer is inference. Computer is, actually a computer, let's say your laptop, your phone. So while the form factors are changing, the stack itself, in principle, is not changing. We still have the sort of layers of the stack from the hardware, the physics, through the chips and the logic, and then the microcode and the architecture, and all of these things are still intact. But what's changing is the flexibility. Just to give an example. And this is our main thesis for Tesla now, which is like you have a self-driving car on the road. You also have a training cluster that is training or producing tokens, to use another quote by Jensen, a token factory, which is delivering the intelligence that the self-driving car needs. So where does the computer start? Where does it end? Where does the software start? Where does it end? It's all one thing. And as a company, I think it's worth having full control of the stack because you need to be able to iterate across the stack. We see, by the way, similar developments in China, for example, where companies like Xiaomi and Huawei, or particularly Xiaomi, they're iterating across the stack because they're copying Tesla or they just have insight. Doesn't matter, they're doing that, and that's very important. So this is not even on podcast. It's December 24, 2025. This is Karim Delco. 40-year, we're up 26%. The market's up roughly 17%. We're outperforming by roughly 9%. So this quote by Jensen Huang, I think, epitomizes what's to come in definitely the next year, if not further out. If you're serious about software, you build your own computer. Again, the quote's in the show notes. It's from an interview with No Priors. And I think it's important because for investors to understand the economics and the potential, and also the KPIs and the executables that are coming in the next quarters, I think it's important to have a big picture understanding of the developments, and then of course you have to granularize it down to the KPIs and see, okay, are these companies delivering? So the big picture is that you're building the computer of the future, and the computer of the future starts with a system that we call a sort of a data center today. The unit of compute, according to Jensen, is the data center. Now, I want to expand this. The unit of compute is actually the robot or the agent, whether it's an agent on your laptop or iPhone, or whether it's actually a self-driving car or an Optimus in the future. That's the unit of compute. And it starts with a data center, which could, by the way, be in space in the near future, because you gotta somehow collect and machine interpret knowledge, which is what we call training or pre-training, right? You got to somehow take knowledge, whether it's from the internet or from the real world or from world models, and train a model to have a compressed understanding in actual technical terms means in a representation of knowledge in latent space that then can produce tokens at inference in order to execute certain tasks. So for us at Orange Capital Partners now, for us, the computer starts with the car, for example. The Tesla car is the computer. Now, not all of the compute happens in the car. The training happens in a cluster in Austin, Texas. In the future, it might happen even in space. The inference happens on the car. But the unit of compute is the actual application. I think that's important. And I think we can't emphasize enough how important it is to have an application. I think we changed our thesis on Tesla recently, where we finally see, and maybe finally is the wrong word, but we're relieved to see a commercial viable application for Optimus, which is to build AI data centers in space. So that's just an example of an actual app. So the compute, the unit of compute is the actual intelligence that is producing labor or value for humans. Let's just leave it at that. We don't need to get philosophical, because you could argue that maybe in the future it will also produce value for machines. But let's say there's 8 billion humans on this world. The economy as we know it consists of products and services that serve those 8 billion humans. And the robot, the machine that actually produces labor that serves those 8 billion humans in any shape or form is the actual unit of compute. Now, again, there is certain parts of the compute, let's say on the Optimus robot, will be on the robot itself, for example, the AI5 chip and things like that. But then certain things will be outside. So that's crucial. We've said several times on this podcast that we believe that whoever is winning, or whoever is intelligently investing and optimizing their compute to monetize intelligence, is going to generate a lot of wealth. And we still stick with that with that statement. But I think what we're adding now is the fact that it is actually the software and the computer, both of them, they're converging. And I think that's a fairly new statement. I think in Silicon Valley it might be controversial. I mean, if you talk to average VCs on Sand Hill Road, they still talk about software versus hardware. And I think that's wrong. You should not be thinking like that anymore. You should just be thinking Starship is as much part of the compute stack as the Tesla car. That's our view, and that's why we think Tesla can become a multi-trillion-dollar company, because they have this ability to integrate the stack and also have applications that are monetizable. They're not the only company. I think Nvidia is another one, and we'll see more companies coming out. For example, Anduril is a company that we believe has that same potential in warfare. Others are coming out of the woodwork everywhere. I mean, we'll see a lot of startups. But this concept, again, I think basically, if you want to generate wealth in the next 5 years, I think you want to invest in companies that combine software and hardware into one encompassing product, and that is based on compute, but also delivers value, for example, like Optimus or the self-driving car Tesla. Now, that doesn't mean, the deep tech side of things is a huge problem. I think monetizing these things is also not so trivial. I think we have ample space for research and development, for example, on economics and business problems, how to monetize, for example, FSD, how to monetize, robotaxi, how to monetize Optimus, how to monetize, let's say, Nvidia's token factories. Those are interesting problems that need to be solved. We're not fully there yet, but I think on the deep tech side, we're going in the right direction. Thank you.